Good evening, everyone. As promised, I'm here with another tropical update here on the tropical system that's moving into the Gulf of Mexico from the Florida Panhandle. Now, if you take a look here at the National Hurricane Center, you see that they have a 70% chance of a cyclone formation, so tropical depression, within the next 48 hours. What that means is, as this system pushes off to the south and west into the Gulf of Mexico, once it gets over that warm water, it's really going to initiate some storms, and that circulation and the low pressure is going to dip, and that circulation is going to tighten, and you're going to get more of a classic, tropical system than what it currently is now. So this is the area that they're looking at. You can see the cloud formation here. It just looks like a big mass of clouds here at the moment. Not real organized, hence the reason why it's not a tropical system yet. But like I said, it is trending towards that direction, and it is very likely that within the next 48 hours that it does develop into some sort of tropical system. Now, we take a look at the 5-day tropical graphical forecast put out by the National Hurricane Center, and we see the area that they're looking at here. You see this area outlined in red, over here. That's where they're looking at the potential for development within the next 2 to 5 days. And I'll show you the models, show you where the storm's going, the changes in the intensity that they're showing, and also really the change in location that they're all starting to agree on slightly. Now, regardless of what I show you now, these are just models, and these can change day by day as they did from yesterday to today. Now, so we take a look at the models here. And just real quick, I want to make a note that I'm trying out a new recording software today, so hopefully this goes over well. It should be an improvement of what I have been putting out, so leave any feedback if there's any issues or anything with that. But we go over to tropical tidbits here, and what we're going to do, rather than look at the rain and everything, or even what I showed you yesterday, what I want to look at is the pressure and the wind, and that's going to really show us, how low the pressure should get in, because really wind is a factor of pressure. The lower the pressure and the stronger the pressure gradient, the stronger the winds are going to be, because the winds want to head towards the low pressure, and that's why they sort of rotate inwards as such. So we're going to go take a look at that. We're going to change that. This model run doesn't go out as far, but this is the American GFS, and as you see right here, it's nothing right now, very organized. This is 12 hours in the future. The area that you want to look at is right here. Oh, let me use a different color here. We'll use yellow, since there's no yellow on here. We'll clear that. Right. Oh, it doesn't want to work. Oh, there we go. Right there. Right there in the middle of that circle is where you're going to want to look for that development. Now, watch as we go forward in time here. This is 12 hours from now. Oh, let me get out of this. This is 18 hours, 24, and you can see the tightening of the winds. You see the little hole in the middle. That'd be the equivalent to where the low pressure is sitting, being the center. This system is not strong enough to have an eye once it gets to this point, so do not think that that's an eye. That's just showing where the low pressure is. And in every tropical system, when you get to the center of where that low pressure is, the winds are going to be much calmer, regardless of whether or not it has an eye or not. Now, you can see the winds, though, indicated by these barbs within the blue here, and that really shows, the direction of the wind. You see the wind coming counterclockwise around that low pressure, which is, let me draw that in here in red if I can. That low pressure is going to be, I don't know why the GFS is weird. Again, this is the old GFS, not the GFS Legacy. This is the old GFS. So, and my quarrels with the GFS and the GFS Legacy, so we'll get through all of that. So low pressure is going to be right there. And as we move forward in time, you see that tightening continues, and right there, that's so for exactly 48 hours from, at 6 hours ago, so really 42 hours from now, that's when the GFS thinks that this could be classified as a low enough system, low enough pressure within the system to be classified as some sort of tropical disturbance. So we keep going forward. See those winds on the southern eastern side begin to pick up as the pressure keeps lowering. And like I said, pressure and pressure gradient are what dictates the winds. That's it. It's not a factor of anything else. It's just the pressure. So as the pressure in hurricanes get lower, that's why the winds get stronger. So we keep going forward in time here, and you see those winds continue to increase 1,000 millibars. That's what the HPA. So that's what it's using to measure the air pressure. You see those winds continue to increase. We keep going forward time, 999, 994. You see those winds really start to ramp up. At 994, you're looking at a mid-range tropical storm system, but as you can see, it's very lopsided wind-wise. That's also to be expected because, like as I said yesterday, the northeast quadrant of tropical cyclones are usually the strongest because you get the storm motion with the winds coming together, and it sort of accelerates the winds a little bit. Now, it's nothing too extreme, but it is stronger. Now, we keep moving forward in time, and you see it moving 996, 991, and that's a substantial drop. Now you're getting close to Category 1 strength, which I'd say about is 985 is when you want to start looking at about Category 1 strength for hurricanes. And you see those winds really starting to tighten around that center. And if I can real quick, I want to go look at the precipitation moisture, and that'll show us, and yeah, you can see that system right there, heavy rains. I want to see if it develops an eye here. This is the first time I'm really looking at this model along with you guys. Yeah, you can see, it's hard to see here, but right in the middle, there is an eye that forms. And at that point, what's the pressure? 994. It could be, just a well-organized tropical storm, or it could be possibly a very weak Category 1. I mean, that's not out of the question at this point. It all depends on how long it spends over water. Now, we keep moving forward in time here. 989, you see those winds really increase up to, boy, that's about 65 knots. And if we come over, I'm going to come over to a knots to miles per hour because I don't have the conversion off the top of my head. 64 knots. You're looking at a borderline Category 1 hurricane there, 74 miles an hour. There could very well be 74 miles an hour in there. I can't really tell. Yeah, let's see if I click on it. They'll give me the data I'm looking for here. It does not. But like I was saying, it's pretty. You're looking at possibly Category 1 with the GFS now. Like I said, these are just models, so nothing of what it's saying is set in stone, but this is a guidance, and we'll look at the other two models. I'll show you this. With this new recording software, I can go a little bit longer with my recording times. Actually, a lot longer. I can record as long as I want, but so I'll be able to do more detail and go into that. So you see 989. We keep going forward in time. 990. So it goes up as it starts interacting with land. So as hurricanes interact with land, it sort of tears them apart a little bit. They lose some of their energy from the ocean, and that's why that pressure starts to rise again, and then the storm begins to weaken. But you see the location here is right along the Louisiana-Texas border, which is, I believe, where the European model had this tropical system impacting yesterday. And this is a general shift I've seen in all the models. I did look earlier this morning, and they were beginning to shift. I will have to see if that continues, but they were shifting back to the east, more towards the Louisiana, New Orleans area, whereas, the GFS had it in Houston. The GFS Legacy had it in New Orleans, and the Euro had it right on the border. So we'll have to see where that goes again. But we keep going forward in time here. It does re-strengthen a little bit right before it hits land, probably because there's some warmer water right off the Louisiana coast. So not terribly unfounded. But this could possibly be, you see how wide that wind field is too on that eastern side and how compact it is on the western side. That's just simply because the eastern side of hurricanes, as I mentioned, in tropical systems are usually stronger than the western sides. But on that eastern front is where you have to worry about tornadoes and, more of the flooding threat. This does look like it's going to be a fairly quickly moving storm, so I don't know how founded the flooding threat's going to be, but you see it keeps moving over land and then eventually dies. Now, we move over to the GFS Legacy model, which is the new GFS. So this has it moving a much quicker pace, as you can see, spending a lot less time over water. So if you go to right now, well, not really right. Okay, yes, this is 18Z, so just a few hours ago. You see that system sitting right there in the middle over Florida, not organized. But as it gets over water, you'll see it start to compact again. See those winds develop 1005, 1002, 1001. But you see the GFS legacy doesn't have it staying over water as long, so it's not going to strengthen as much as the old GFS predicted it to. And like I said yesterday, just because this is the new GFS doesn't make it any better. I still have my quarrels with it. It's take it with a grain of salt. Basically, 999, this will be a tropical storm easily. Nothing more than that. 994, now you're pushing possibly some possible hurricane force gust. Probably still a tropical storm at this point. 989, now you're looking at a very compact system. As you can see, the wind field isn't spread out very far with this, indicated by the purples, reds, and greens right here on the screen. You see those colors in there. And at that point, you could be looking at near Category 1 strength and a very compact storm, which would mean that those winds in the center aren't going to expand out very far, and the Category 1 winds aren't going to be felt by very many. And even if it is a larger storm, usually those hurricane force winds aren't really felt by very many people. Now, don't get me wrong, tropical storm force winds are still damaging enough as they are. You know, there's not a big difference between 75 and 65 miles an hour when it comes to the grand scheme of things. So we keep moving forward in time here with the GFS legacy model. And you see 986, that again, that's very close to Category 1 strength, right over the New Orleans area, actually. So anywhere from New Orleans over to the Florida Panhandle, we'll be getting some stronger wind gusts with this. And again, just like with the GFS, the western side is a lot less, what's the word I'm looking for? Widespread than the eastern side. Again, typical in tropical systems. You see, this one, again, does put it a lot farther to the east than did the old GFS. And that's consistent with what I was seeing yesterday. The GFS legacy is like the eastern trend a lot more than the other two models. It's been wanting to pull this thing back to the east a lot more than the other two have. And we'll see. Yeah, it even comes back towards the Pensacola area, actually, as a, wow, 975. Now that's 975 could be pushing close to Category 2. Again, it's a GFS legacy, and it's a model. It isn't set in stone. It's just for guidance. So this could change over and over. But the fact that it's showing this strength, this is stronger than what it showed yesterday, and that amount of strengthening with that little time over water, regardless, it is sitting sort of, it's stationary before it moves again to the north in this model, as you can see. It sort of hangs out right off the Louisiana coast before sort of looping slightly back to the east and then north. That would allow it some time to strengthen. And also the way the Louisiana coast is set up, it could just sit like right off the coast where the low pressure is, and you know, just have a little bit more time to garner strength. 975, 980 as it impacts the coast, right around the Pensacola area, and then moving off into the mid-Atlantic. Now, if we take a look at the European model, which, again, as I've mentioned before, is known as usually the most accurate when it comes to this. It's, you know, it's top quality in the world when it comes to looking at this type of stuff. But move forward, you see the Euro takes it fairly deep into the Gulf compared to the other two. It might be a little bit deeper than the old GFS, definitely deeper than the GFS legacy. But you see, wow, that's a quick strengthening of that wind field. It's a wide storm according to the Euro, but granted, these jumps are also a lot bigger. The European model does every 24 hours. The other two did every 6. So of course, this jump's going to look more like it's strengthening quickly, when in reality, it's just the amount of time frame is larger between each loop. So you see 997 is a very larger storm than what the other two models were showing, actually. And 987, close to Category 1 strength, possibly. Really, again, splitting the difference, just like yesterday, between the GFS and the GFS Legacy. The Euros kind of hug that middle. That's why we like the Euro. It's sort of just averages out what everything's saying. 987, possible Category 1 high-end tropical storm, really right in the central Louisiana before moving up into the United States. Now, regardless of how strong or how weak this thing is, it's going to be sort of the same effect regardless. It's going to be a fairly fast-moving storm. It's not going to hang around for too long. So the amount of rainfall will still be, don't get me wrong, if you take a look at the GFS Legacy, just because I'm curious of what it's saying about the rainfall rates, total accumulated precipitation, you're still looking at, well, I stand corrected, 24 up to 20 inches of rain in the parts of Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida. Mostly into the panhandle. Some parts of northeast Florida could get some outflow bands. Not even outflow bands, just outer bands of this storm. Unless it pulls back more of the east, I don't see more of an effect than just, the occasional extra shower or storm here and there. But if it starts to pull back to the east, I want to look at, possible higher wind speeds, higher tornado threat, more rain. But right now, the effects are going to be situated more closer to Pensacola and Tallahassee and westward, out to about New Orleans, I'd say. New Orleans and central Louisiana. And west of that, because you're on the western side of the storm, your effects are going to be a lot less, severe. But regardless, anywhere from, I'd say, Houston, Texas to Jacksonville, really need to pay attention to this because there's no saying what weather wants to do. It could loop any number of which ways and go wherever it wants. As I say yesterday, it really depends on how long it stays over the Gulf. And it looks like today it's spending more time over the Gulf water than what they were predicting yesterday. It's sort of slowing down over the Gulf before making that turn northward, which gives it a little bit more time to strengthen, which is why we're seeing that Category 1, level of winds and pressure compared to yesterday. We were seeing, mid to high tropical storm with the potential of a hurricane gust here and there. Other than that, I don't have too much more on this right now. Again, I'll look at this again tomorrow. As I've said, every single day I'll be looking at this, and I'll keep everybody updated, and I hope everybody has a fantastic evening, and I'll talk to you guys later.